What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm Simon, joined by my very relaxed and vacationing co-host Josh and John Luke. What's up, guys?
What up? Aloha.
We all thought JL was getting back from Hawaii, but it turns out he just invited Josh and Coop without freaking telling me. Guys, also joining us today, we have another great guest, also looking fly in his Hawaiian. We've got Andrew Cooper, a.k.a. Coop A Fiasco on Twitter, joining us today. For those of you that do not know Coop, man, I feel bad for your teams at the tight end position, first of all. But you can find him on Twitter at Coop A Fiasco. He is the lead NFL analyst over at Fantasy Alarm, and he's a co-host on the Fantasy Alarm podcast, the Fantasy Football Besties, and over at Lightning Round. Coop, thanks so much for joining us today, my man.
Thanks for having me, man. We have fun here. And too funny. This is how susceptible I am to peer pressure. I see JL with the Hawaiian shirt start talking, and then Josh goes to grab mine.
He literally comes in here. He doesn't say hi.
He say just a single word.
I think I got one. I got one in my closet.
Yeah.
I saw what was happening, and I was like, yeah, I'm 100% in, and I'm on board with this. Yeah. I mean, and also speaking of peer pressure, I want to get this out of the way because I see the Grimace gangs in the chat already. GG, what's up? What's up, boys? So I'm sure you guys have probably made drunk purchases in your time. Once or twice, right? The Amazons, the eBays. Just the other day, my fiance's going through the mail, and she's like, "What is this?" And she holds this up to me. Which is the Lego Grimace Gang thing. And I thought to myself, I was like, I thought about explaining to her about Front Yard Fantasy and the Grimace Gang and Mayor McCheese. And then I was just like, I need that for work.
So Craig
there are no follow-up questions?
And put this in a tweet and tagged you, and so you were like, I need this.
If you click that link, it now says not available. Because it's right here. Yeah. The only question is whether I take it out and build it or keep it in the original packaging. I mean, it's from.
I'm sure it's gonna be worth millions one day. Yeah.
The shipping costs more than the thing itself.
It can rise up. That thing's gonna be valuable one day.
Super valuable. Yeah. But she's wondering why a Grimace Lego set from 1999 McDonald's Happy Meal showed up at my house, dude. It's because of this show.
Ask.
That's valuable, man. Like, it's worth
my girlfriend's been wondering where the hell all these flashlights are coming from and why we need them in our house, too. Yeah. And that's 100% because of you. Jordan, what's up? Welcome in. Glad to have you here, my man. And Dustin said, do you know how many meals Vin Diesel eats in a day?
7.
Only 2, breakfast and Furious.
That's a great comment.
Bad, like
you're in timeout.
Good at the same time, but like horrible.
That was. I wish I would have read it before I put it on the screen.
Shout out Scott! I just met Scott this week at the Boston Scott Fishbowl draft. Yeah, what up, dog?
What's up,
the more
Scott?
They get about Dustin's, I'm sorry, it's hilarious. That was great. So dumb, but so good, Dustin.
Alex saying, "Go home, Dustin. You're drunk." And we got Maria. Happy mock draft Monday. And Craig, if you get the props from Craig, you've made it, Dustin.
Yeah.
Craig only props up
the pinnacle of comedy, Craig.
Our favorite chat cat, Mr. Scamper, welcome in. And Scott said, "Hello, pretty kitty." I love it.
Handsome kitty. That's a very handsome cat. All right.
That's such a funny kitty. Way to
Twin, what's up? Welcome in. Glad to have you in here. And Scott giving you the warning now says, Twin, you best not snipe me, or he's going to call you pretty too.
Oh, they're red 3 and 4, right behind Andrew's 2. I'm number 1. Let's get in there.
I noticed Scott moved. Once I picked 2, Scott moved from like 7 to 3 right next to me. So.
He wants to snipe me. I'm sure. Like that's why I took one. Less sniping possibility.
If you check my DMs, there might be a message from one Mr. Scott saying, "I can't wait to wreck Cooper in this draft."
Oh my god, he's the devil.
So he might be looking out for you. Albert, we got in the chat. Good afternoon. What's up, Albert?
What up, Albert?
And Joey saying, Andrew Cooper smile sends me.
Oh, what's up, Joey? What's up, baby?
We got Kev in the chat saying, "Bird up." What's up, Kev? Glad to have you in here. And James said, "Hello to the chat." And also FYI.
Chat's on fire today.
They get the exclamation points and we get the ... I see how it is. Scott, what's up? Welcome, man.
What's up, Scott?
And Dustin said, "Simon without a hat. What is wrong with my screen?"
That is
maybe like the second time since I had like the military haircut I've gone hatless on stream if you don't count headband days. But
that's almost as crazy as us 3 wearing Hawaiians. Actually,
almost
crazy.
But he had to mix it up somehow. The craziest thing is that Simon doesn't have a Hawaiian shirt. Like that,
he doesn't own one. I guess.
It boggles my mind.
You know what I do own though?
Let's take care of it this week.
Cowboy hat.
I own puka shells, which I feel like are in the same vein, right? Like you go to the beach, you throw on your Hawaiian shirt, you throw on your puka shells.
If you have a Hawaiian.
Yeah, otherwise you just
you're right.
Weird,
you're right, Simon. Douchebags wear both regardless.
Exactly.
You're right. You're right.
And Jordan said, "Why didn't we let Simon know the memo?" Simon found out about the memo and sprinted to his closet.
This way.
I got disappointed twice. Mike said, "Just checking in on Coop's mental state. He was pretty sad this weekend." Mike, we heard about your antics in Scott Fishbowl.
Yeah,
dude. So in this draft to pull it again.
At the live draft this week, Mike literally stood there with a beer, no rankings at all. And just went ahead and drafted every player that I've written an article about over the last 2 years.
Memorized it.
Well ahead of ADP. If you go in and click on Mike Ingram in the Scott Fishbowl ADP, it says Daddy's Home, Evan Ingram, Daddy's Home drafted him the earliest out of 3,000 people in my draft. And I'm the Evan Ingram guy. He took Rashad Bateman, who I wrote the article on, Adam Thielen. It's like, and he was just walking over to me every time being like, what do you think about that?
That's awesome.
He had a plan.
Jordan said Coop is an American hero. I think Mike is an American hero for that move. That's incredible.
Unbelievable, bro.
Just leveling the playing field for us, Coop, making you play on your toes. We got JR in the chat saying, looking good, fellas.
Right back at you.
Saying 3 Hawaiian shirts and 1 Canadian tuxedo. You don't know what's on the bottom. I'll tell you, it's far from a tuxedo down there. Swamp said, who dat? What's up? I don't have pants on. Swampy! I work and cried. Come on, tell Jimmy Johns to give you a break, Swamp.
Get him out of there.
It's the summer in New Orleans. That's brutal. Come here now saying hello, FYF. Hello, welcome in. Glad to have you here. And Swamp said, my Smash League started a Dynasty League. We're still drafting, but if y'all are interested to see my team, let me know.
Yes,
I want to see it.
I want to see it.
Let us take a peek. Scott Fish here. Joe, can you mark him down for attendance today? He was a little late, but we'll give him a pass. Totally fine.
Present.
Present. Totally okay. And NBA said, I didn't get the memo. That's Hawaiian Monday. Yeah. Everyone else was on that.
Simon didn't either.
Didn't send it out. Guys, I think it is time to go ahead and get this draft rolling. Today, we are doing a tight end premium draft. Before we get into that, though, a couple reminders. We can go ahead and pull this up on the screen. But one, if you are not already following our guest, Coop, go and fix that right this instance. We're not lying when we say he's one of our favorite in the space. And I was just telling JL earlier, and I messaged Coop about it as well. His tight end series on Fantasy Alarm is one of the best article series I've read in my time playing fantasy. It's an incredible resource, and Coop knows his stuff when it comes to tight end. So check him out, follow him out on Twitter, and go check out his new tight end series over on Fantasy Alarm. Guys, after you do that, if you're watching this video, that means you're probably already on our YouTube channel. Go and hit that like button if you enjoy what we're doing here, and make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Front Yard Fantasy. It is the easiest way to get Josh to take his Hawaiian shirt off on stream.
If that's what you want. If you want me to put on more clothes, I can do that too. But
whatever you want.
I listen to the people. I'm here for the
man of the people.
Jason, do not pass over my Grimace Gang comment, Simon. Grimace Gang will not be silenced. I didn't see it, Jay.
No one's
Get out of here. Grimace Gang is fine. They're fine.
Jordan said, "I'm going to."
We're stronger than ever. We're strong. If you guys just correctly put Grimace at the top of the mascot draft, then none of this would have ever happened. Now we have to come back stronger, man.
Next thing we know, Coop is going to be like pushing like Grimace coin and a Grimace line of NFTs, and like it's going to blow up. That'll become the new like go-to currency of the U.S.
It's only a matter of time, dude. Me and Craig and Jay will have you guys on the Grimace Gang podcast. It's starting up soon.
Oh, can't wait.
Guys, in this draft today, Josh is going to be drafting first overall. Coop from that 2 spot. I'm going to be drafting from the 11. And JL is going to be bugging us and asking us questions about our draft the entire time. That's his role today. This draft, further details, like I said, is the tight end premium mock draft that we are doing right here. Oh, Lord. It looks like yet again I am being made to feel like even more. I'm just gonna leave.
What's going on? Let's go, dude.
The Vikings
wow, the Vikings won.
Look at that.
That's clean, bro.
I know.
Yes.
Did you get that at a game, or did you have to order it special?
No, we had it ordered special. I had it sitting around, and I got my SFB LA ring.
Damn,
We
dude.
got these at the LA Live Draft.
I was gonna say a shirt like that, you gotta like make that yourself, dude. Like that's just like.
I love the choice of the white collar with that loud ass shirt, and they chose white collar.
So funny. That's like a Bob Kraft move, right? Scott Colangelo, dude.
Maybe you got to have it open a little bit. Maybe that's it. You got.
It's a normal collar, man. It's a normal collar, JL. Find a new slant.
Yeah.
I was feeling inadequate already, Scott. Then you get on here with that dope shirt and unbutton a button. Like my confidence is shattered for the rest
So
of the
good, bro.
Just ruined.
Escapers, this white collar really ties it all together.
I know, dude. Clean.
That's
God, that's incredible.
The collar pop, it might be the play. It might be the play.
Yeah.
I do not have the budget for Hawaiian shirts right now, but that's exactly what I'm doing after this show. Food can wait. I'll cancel a couple
I hate
subscriptions.
Hawaiian shirts.
I don't need Netflix or Hulu for a couple months. I need Hawaiian shirts.
They got
Yeah.
like Uber Eats did rides, and then they had Uber Eats for food. They need Uber Hawaii shirts.
I'm actually with it.
Get when they're about to
That
end
would
the show.
bankrupt my neighbor. My neighbor exclusively wears Hawaiian shirts, so that would certainly be
What a dude, bro. What an alpha.
You're wearing one of his shirts right now. You went over.
Yeah, I had to ask him.
Man.
What a power move, though. Hawaiian shirts every day, dude.
Yeah, my backyard is not his backyard, but
That's awesome. That is
Yeah.
a power move. Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
man.
So what are you guys up to? Got a mock today?
Yeah, we're about to mock draft.
Dude, I think we should just cancel the mock, dude. Just
Hawaiian.
just
Talk about
kind of
Hawaiians, the best
Hawaiians are
kind.
chill out, get the chat fired
I
up.
kind of want to leave and then come back with a new Hawaiian every 15 minutes. For the show, you know. Here we go.
I got a gang of them, bro.
Please center attention again.
Awesome.
All right, I'm gonna start this draft.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get it.
Josh
Mr.
is
Scamper
first.
said, "Come on, Simon, at least a Hawaiian headband or bucket hat."
Oh no.
What do you think? I just got like random Hawaiian wardrobe pieces in my closet. It's
Yes.
not
All
working.
you needed was one.
You just
Yeah, I was gonna say if I had to bet my bottom dollar, I would have bet it on Simon having one Hawaiian shirt. Are we just rotating Hawaiian
At
shirts?
3:30, I'll get a new one.
Oh
going.
yeah, really cool guys. Yeah, everyone
I'm-
go just
I'm
show
up
me all your
first.
Hawaiian shirts.
This is a
Do they make like a jean jacket / Hawaiian shirt?
Oh,
like,
You know, when I went off camera, I was looking for my Sharpies because I was like, maybe I can draw one convincingly enough on my skin. Just some flowers, maybe a
one's
stick
pink.
figure.
This one's pink.
Too.
Oh, I love that one.
I'm now secretly upset you did not draw all over your chest with Sharpie and come back. That would have been amazing.
Welcome to
Couldn't find the
our
right colors.
welcome everyone to our 1-round Hawaiian shirt
God.
mock draft.
Hawaiian shirt mock draft. That would be fantastic. We should
Is this
do
supposed
tiers
to-
for Hawaiian shirts?
What is this? Is this supposed to be full PPR or half PPR for
It
everyone
is
else?
full PPR for everyone else, 1.5 for tight ends. Sleeper doesn't have that available as a mock draft setting, though. So there will be tight ends will probably be lower down than you would expect in these rankings. So expect to have to maybe scroll a little to grab them or just switch over to that tight end tab. And then it is a 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 2
I
flex.
kind of
league is
have
what
a
we're doing
jean
right here.
Hawaiian shirt, by the way. I actually kind of do.
Do
Oh,
you?
cool.
No, you don't.
Big sigh, and then you
Say,
goes off camera.
first of all, no, you don't.
No. Second of all,
Jean Hawaiian shirt. The second, first of all, no, you don't. Second of all, you
Look.
better not.
It's denim. It's denim.
where's
It's
the Hawaiian
denim
part?
and flower. Like, hey, look, it's got flowers
Oh,
right there.
the inside.
Okay, on the inside. All right.
Yeah. I know.
Maria said the
All
Orioles Hawaiian shirts are unmatched. That's true. We were away when they gave them out this year, which is kind of bummer.
Oh no.
But they are very good.
My Orioles socks are unmatched. I can't find the other one.
You have Orioles
Um,
socks?
I have a pair of Orioles. Well, I have an Orioles sock for some reason. I don't know where it came from. The other one is missing.
Okay. All right.
See, you know what you do? That becomes a travel sock, Simon. You take that, another random sock,
And you
keep
litter
it
in
on your
Europe.
trip.
Yeah.
And then
throw
you-
it
yeah,
away
and then
after
you-
you use it.
And then you litter around the world. Yeah, it's perfect.
Have you
Just
heard
leave it-
my travel tips, Coop?
Just-
How when you travel, you should take clothes that you're done with or you want to throw away or unmatched socks. And then when I was in France, take off your unmatched socks, just throw them in the garbage.
Chuck them, dude. Yeah, that's France anyway, so who cares?
Yeah. Save room in your bag for souvenirs and stuff.
They gave us the Statue of Liberty, and we give them a bunch of old mismatched socks. Pretty pretty American.
Joseph Rose says, "Wow, Cooper Cup first pick." Josh, you took Cooper Cup with that first pick.
I love premium. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, tell me about
you guys are so worried. You probably out there so worried. It's like, why not Jonathan Taylor? You didn't go to the second pick. Christian McCaffrey went with the second pick, and I'm actually all about it, Coop, because Cooper Cup, if he does anything close to what he did last season, if he has a season like he did last year, I think he's deserving of the number 1 overall pick. I also think Christian McCaffrey has that kind of upside. I love Jonathan Taylor. I love his safety, but again, this is a PPR league with 3 wide receivers we are starting. I think these guys are a tier personally for heading into next season. Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, and Jonathan Taylor. If you want to take any of the 3, that's fine. That's why I chose Cooper Kupp. I just wanted to make the point that if you want to take Cooper Kupp with your number 1 overall pick, it does not bother me in the slightest, especially in a 3 wide receiver league.
Josh, that is such the type of pick you make while wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
It is. It makes
if you're going to throw on a Hawaiian shirt, you got to make a Cooper Kupp 101 pick.
Go for it. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, and Josh, to back up your point further, he was not just the top scoring wide receiver last year, or top scoring wide receiver and running back, or top scoring wide receiver, running back, and tight end. He was the top scoring player over Josh Allen, over all other players in a PPR format. So it's the same situation. If you believe in him, I got no issues. Oh, JR, you stinky man.
You stinky man.
I mean,
JR.
people forget that it did take us a couple years to realize that Antonio Brown should be going first overall in PPR. And then he finished first overall in PPR 4 years in a row. You know what I mean? Which is not something that running backs really do. So Cooper Kupp is probably about as safe as it gets in this format.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Coop, you took CMC. We touched on it a little bit. At the end of last season, it seemed like everyone was kind of out on CMC. They thought, oh, injury just keeps getting injured. It's just going to keep happening, blah, blah, blah. I'm guessing you're back in on CMC. You took him second overall here.
Right.
What would you say to those people who are still concerned about his injury concerns?
Well, here's the thing, man. First of all, with the injury, he left that Dolphins game with the rolled ankle, and then he came back in and played. And then afterwards, they just decided, because they had lost 7 of their last 9 games, that we'll just shut this guy down and get him healthy and move forward. Right? He's healthy right now. And last year, Jonathan Taylor in 17 games caught 40 passes. Christian McCaffrey in 6 games, because in the 7th game he played, he got hurt. In 6 games, he caught 37 passes, pretty much the same as Taylor did in a full season. He caught that in 6 games, right? So for me, I'm not going to sit here and play like Dr. Fortune Teller and try and guess which currently healthy dude is going to suffer a serious injury this year. I'm just going to take the best player for this format, which for me is Christian McCaffrey.
That's absolutely the right way to think about it, in my opinion. There's just no way you're going to be able to predict those injuries. So go with the best player, the talent.
Right. Last year,
I'm trying to be safe with Christian McCaffrey, and he still is projected for more points than Jonathan Taylor. And I'm trying to be safe with it. I don't know how I can get him below Jonathan Taylor. I tried. It's not possible.
When you look at the starting running backs last year, only 7 played the full season, and we're talking about like Myles Gaskin, Zeke Elliott on a torn PCL. So if you're going to fade people that might get hurt, you might as well just go 0 RB like Josh did.
Yeah. Scott, how are you feeling about CMC this year?
I love him. I think I'm right with Josh. I have him right there in the top 3 or 4.
You taking JT ahead of him though?
Usually, but I'm not going to rip on some they're just 1As, 1Bs, etc. I love the pass catching, but it's a couple straight years in a row of just. I know you're supposed to be injury agnostic, but man. It's been frustrating.
It has been frustrating.
It's scary. And there have been guys that Arian Foster, when he refused to work out with the team, was working out with his brother or whatever, and he kept getting hurt every single year. I mean, you can't turn around and tell me that Arian Foster wasn't injury prone. You can't tell me that Raheem Mostert's not injury prone. So there is some concern there. And in half PPR, I'm taking Taylor, and I'm not even thinking about it, But in full PPR, that's where I'm like, well, this is the full PPR guy, so I might as well mix it up. I have both because of that,
Right.
Completely agree. And then Dalvin Cook, I'm sure, is up there, especially for you, Scott. I mean, I know you're the Vikings fan. I put him almost in that tier up there, and we're seeing him go as the 4th running back off the board. He'd personally be right there next to Austin Eckler as my 4th guy as well. So, I mean, we're seeing him going behind Saquon Barkley here.
Nice. I kind of agree. Like with all the pass catching they're talking about, he's going to get up here and he's playing out wide so much. He could easily finish he could even finish as the RB1, and it wouldn't shock me with how much they plan to use it. Yeah, with how much
if he could stay healthy all season.
We'll see.
I think it's very likely.
I remember I was going to come on to say. I met Dame Overboard and Mr. Scampers in LA this weekend.
Nice.
Mr. Scampers is very cat-like. Very cat-like.
I
would expect that from a cat. Damn it, Chael.
Yeah, you did it.
Simon's having a rough day.
It's a brutal day, man. If you had a Hawaiian shirt, you definitely would have said that first.
You would have thought of it first.
You would have at least said it at the same time.
No, they were very, very awesome. Very, very cool to hang out.
What was your favorite memory from the LA draft, Scott?
I don't even like. There was too much alcohol.
You have no memory.
Memory. I remember everything. It was all awesome. I don't have a specific favorite memory. Just meeting everyone was awesome. So
did you put all that grape jelly in Matt's desk like I asked?
Shoot. I did not.
You forgot? Dang it.
His office door was open too. I totally could have. I just didn't have it.
You just got confused on the airplane. You're like, wait, was this jelly for my plane snack or was it for Matt's desk? 8 jars of jelly with your fingers on the flight instead.
Yeah.
We need to boot it.
Can you even imagine going through like TSA with 8 jars of jelly?
All under like the 3 fluid ounce rule.
Yeah, exactly. You have an entire suitcase of jelly here.
Just jelly.
They're all 3 ounce bottles, I swear.
I can explain this.
Yeah.
And Mike said, shirts are amazing. Draft strategies, not so much.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate the compliment on my shirt.
Will you just leave me alone, dude? Like, just now he's terrorizing me at the live draft. Now he's just following me around on the internet too. Like, give me a break.
You should have looked at Andrew's ranking. If we were all looking at Coop's rankings, we would have had the right draft strategy.
No doubt in my mind, Scott Covey is definitely doing that, dude.
I know which tight ends I'm targeting.
By the way, Mike Evans was a semi-snipe. I was really hoping Mike Evans would have made it to my pick. And so, Scott, if that makes you feel good, you
semi-snipe.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about Mike Evans.
Yeah. Would you have taken Mike Evans over T. Higgins?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah. Just because of the I mean, like, he's so safe. 1,000 yards every single year. And then this year now he goes into it with no Gronk, no Antonio Brown, and what's likely to be a few games missing of Chris Godwin. Like, I can't see how he wouldn't be amazing. This guy is the guy that consistently faces the top corner. And he, generally does well. There were some stretches where, James Bradbury would take him away back when he was on the Panthers and stuff. But for the most part, he gets the toughest assignment and he still gets it done. So I'm not worried at all about Mike Evans getting his.
And double-digit touchdowns both years with Brady, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big time. And
I'm going to bow out, though, guys. Got some work to do.
Thanks for crashing,
Scott. Jumping on. Maybe I'll jump on again later in the show. But
yes,
I just
new Hawaii shirt.
I know. I had to show up Simon for a second.
Of course. We all do.
Thanks for popping in, dude. We should just keep rotating guests in that have Hawaiian shirts just to make Simon feel bad, dude.
Who wants to go one next?
Yeah.
Daddy's home shot me a DM. He's wearing one right now. He wore one randomly today.
Get him in, dude. Get him in.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you, Scott.
This is fun.
Yeah, let's go.
This is
fun. We're having fun.
Jalen Hurts, first quarterback off the board.
First off the board.
Wow. That's bold.
The Chosen Rose asking Scampers, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews went at the 9th overall pick in that first round. So how are you
tight end premium?
It's this tight end premium redraft league. So how are you guys thinking about how does your strategy change with tight end premium? Are you always then going to, well, clearly I guess the answer to that is no, because neither of you have reached for a tight end here. None of the 3 of you have gotten a tight end yet. But how does your strategy change with tight end premium versus not tight end premium?
So for me, it mostly affects the lower tiers, right? I'm moving guys up a little bit. Like, obviously, Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts. I don't mind where they win at all here, just because, they're guys that play like wide receivers. They catch like wide receivers. With the Ravens, because of how many second tight ends and how many fullbacks they use, those targets are always going to be super highly consolidated. Even if they don't throw much, every time you bring in Patrick Ricard or every time you bring in Nick Boyle, that takes a wide receiver off the field. That's how you can really trust Mark Andrews and, to a certain degree, Rashad Bateman. what it does for me is it now takes that group of later tight ends that we're not interested in and makes them viable, because now they're competing to potentially start in your flex, So you take that whole group that I usually am not super interested in, from like tight end 10 to 13 or 14. And now those are guys that you have to sit there and say to yourself, like, do I want a Tyler Boyd who's going to be kind of coming out of the game for 2 wide receiver sets and his ceiling's kind of capped, or do I want to take a shot on an Evan Ingram or somebody who could be the second target on our team and have the same stats, except they're worth more, So
you would find a way to bring Evan Ingram into this.
Always got to mix them in. There, Always got to mix them in.
Every conversation.
Just check it off. All right, well, but we got that done. So.
How about you, Josh? Is there anything else you want to add here? How does your strategy change with tight end?
Like in a typical redraft league, we're going to see Travis Kelce maybe be a first round pick regardless. We're going to see Mark Andrews maybe be a back end first round pick himself, but a second round pick at that, So the bump that we're seeing here is not that ridiculous in my mind at all. Was Mr. Scampers going to get Mark Andrews with the 204? I doubt it with how I'm seeing this draft breakdown. So Mr. Scampers had to take Mark Andrews right there. And yeah, sure, he could have got Austin Eckler, who I prefer over Aaron Jones a little bit, and Derrick Henry, DeAndre Swift, but he got Aaron Jones, which is just fine, a great running back for this year. So I kind of like how that played out for Mr. Scampers getting Mark Andrews. And then we saw Julia Jones take Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. Wow, that's a little crazy, but Darren Waller hits the ceiling.
I just want to pop in and say I love, Simon, that pick you just made, the Zeke pick in the 4th round, dude. I love that pick, bro.
Like, there's multiple backs that went before him that I would have taken him over. Javonte,
Zeke, I have as my RB 13. So yeah, all those guys that went before him are.
He's at 11 for me. I would even take him over Chubb.
James Conner and Chubb. Yeah,
James Conner and Chubb. I'll take Zeke.
Yeah, James Conner I have at running back 10, but yeah, I don't blame you. There's an injury history with James Conner. People are expecting some touchdown regression, but I also think that there's going to be more pass catching work available for James Conner.
Yeah, I almost went Chubb and then Zeke with the next one, but needed to get a wide receiver in there in a 3 wide receiver league. If this was a two wide receiver league, I would have taken Zeke.
Yeah, this might sound crazy, but like when I was looking at those picks, and maybe it's just how I'm used to drafting, I was sitting there in that 3rd round going like, man, I wish I had Chase and Diggs, and then I could go like Zeke and Jacobs with my next picks. Like I was like, man, I really like, I love having Derrick Henry on this team, but I wish that was another top 5 kind of wide receiver, because I love the running back value in like those 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. And I don't love the wide receiver value. I think maybe like it was a little rich for me to take Deontay Johnson there. I'm fine with it. Like he slots in about right there, but I took him at about where I have him ranked, which is not how I prefer to.
Yeah, there's just guys below Deontay Johnson, like about 10 of them that are more or less on the same level, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So while you like Deontay Johnson, you're grabbing the top of a tier instead of the end of a tier, which it feels a little bit better, I guess, right?
And being on the turn, you feel a little bit more pressure too to kind of maybe take a guy there that you wouldn't have, because Deontay Johnson wasn't making it back around, and I didn't want to miss out on that tier.
Yeah. My advice, my biggest advice for everybody, and this goes for honestly all formats, but especially these like weird formats, is always lean into what you are personally good at, right? Think about what you are good at when you play fantasy football. Are you good at finding QBs late? Are you good at hitting on those late round wide receivers? If you're really good at finding breakout running backs, stuff like that, then wait on running back and use that to your advantage. So for me, like even when it's tight end premium, because I'm legitimately contractually obligated to research tight ends and give tight end advice every single week, like it would be crazy for me to go out and do bully tight end and not use those skills to my advantage, right? Because then what am I going to do? If I have 2 tight ends in my flex and in my starting spot, I'm still going to fill my bench with tight ends because I'm a psycho. So like I'm just messing things up for myself. You know what I mean? So think about that yourself. Lean into what you are good at,
Yeah, that's great advice. And it's not I wouldn't say common advice, right? You don't normally hear that, but it's really good advice.
So do that in fantasy.
Could I go routes?
I'm going to go routes.
Go for it.
And Coop, I guess I saw you tweet something similar to that recently, and it made me start thinking like, maybe it's not just that I prefer that, but I have found success the past couple of years identifying like early in the season waiver wire running backs that are going to hit and be constant contributors, like these late round guys. And it probably tends me to feel more comfortable leaving my drafts heavy on wide receiver, knowing that I can probably figure running back out the first couple of weeks of the season.
I'm so glad you took Cortland Sutton there, because I like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, and I have so much Sutton that it feels nice to be able to take Jerry Jeudy.
I feel like I grabbed Sutton in this range everywhere, every mock draft. This is where I'm grabbing Sutton, and I do prefer him above Jerry. But I like Jerry Jeudy a lot too. I think they could both thrive, and I think there is going to be one that at the end of the season where it'd be like, why didn't everyone just know it was this guy?
Yep, happens every year.
But I will say that
Patrick
Sutton, I mean, it plays, dude. Every time Tim Patrick catches a touchdown pass, I look around, I'm like, what tight end is that? And then I'm like, oh, wait a second, that's Tim Patrick. That guy's huge. Yeah. It's like he just redeems him.
That's really confusing when you say what tight end is that. You're like, how the hell did he fly under my radar?
That's what I mean. I'm like, what? I'm like, is that Fant or Aquaboon? I'm like, dude, that is Tim Patrick. That guy is gigantic. I always forget how big that guy is.
It's like Willie Snead. All of a sudden, one year, Willie Snead looked massive.
Like thick. He's thick. Yeah. You know, he's not necessarily tall, but he's just he's bulky. But he's a wide receiver.
Is Willie Snead not a thick name? Like when I hear Willie Snead, I think like a tall, lanky guy
sneaking around, dude.
Yeah, little
he's
weasel.
A slot receiver. Yeah. But no, he is like built different. He's like,
he's a tight end.
Sneaking around like that bad guy from the Lorax, like
yeah, exactly.
That's Willie Snead. Yeah,
dude's built like a William, not a Willie. Like he should change what he goes by.
The Ravens have him out there playing like split guard or whatever he was doing, like, you know, just pancake blocks and catching like one pass every 3 games, right? Like that's what Willie Snead is to me.
That's what he does, yeah.
Yeah.
And Maria said our FYF Hawaiian shirts next to go up on the store. Maybe.
No.
I'll have to check if our supplier has Hawaiian shirts.
We'll design it based off the one in my closet.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, we could just design it based on what I have. Yeah. And yeah, we could sell invisible Hawaiian shirts, $40 a pop. Go grab it. The box it arrives in is invisible as well.
It's just a box.
Actually, immediate shipping.
That's you should have
immediate shipping. Yeah,
shirtless.
Check out my new shirt, guys.
Got my wine shirt.
There goes J.K. Dobbins. We saw
Dobbins.
Some fun news today. We saw news that he wasn't going to be ready for week 1. And then J.K. Dobbins quote tweeted it. And he said, and I took that personally. I am going to be ready for week 1, bitch.
That's a reliable source.
He came at that reporter a little bit. But yeah, so now I don't know what to think. I believe J.K. Dobbins more than a reporter, but maybe that's maybe he has a vested interest in saying that he's going to be healthy and wanting to be healthy. So I don't know. What do you guys think whenever we get reports like that?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you actually go and look at those tweets, like J.K. Dobbins took it to the next level. He says he's got like Jesus on his side, and he's about to prove all the fake doctors that on the biggest stage. I'm just like, damn.
I didn't see that part.
Oh yeah, dude. He goes, here, I'll read it to you. The work Jesus does with me, you, and whoever is doubting me could never understand it. I mean, I read that verbatim. Doesn't really make a lot of sense there. He goes, I would post videos, but I want all you fake ass doctors and people who have never spoken a word to me to see what me and Jesus been up to on the biggest stage.
I mean, it is a little tough to speak a word to him considering he's a celebrity, but I get his point. I definitely get his point.
Yeah. Difficult to get in there and have those combos.
Yeah, Josh Maria and I definitely said a word to him. Yeah.
I was yelling at him the whole time. I was like, JK!
Yeah.
JK, look over your jersey!
And then he went and talked to a security guard right after.
Yeah. He was like, hey.
We're gonna do it again too. We're going again here in like 12 days. So we have the same plan.
And I didn't learn my lesson at all.
No, we're gonna
yell I'm gonna still be yelling at him. Well, actually, that might have been bad luck for it because it was literally like a week later that it got injured.
Josh, that Hawaiian shirt. The Hawaiian shirt that Josh just switched into is like the one that you switch into when you're going out to like a nice dinner on vacation.
Right?
This is my lounge Hawaiian. This is my favorite Hawaiian shirt. I wear it around my house all the time. People think I'm nuts when they come in, but
I feel like every high school Spanish teacher has that exact Hawaiian shirt.
And they think they're the coolest, dude.
Absolutely.
And you know what? They are.
James said Jesus is a really good physical therapist / trainer.
I will say this: J.K. Dobbins got hurt prior to the season last year. It was an ACL injury. I mean, like, I think he's gonna be ready.
Scary.
For
I think. But the thing is, it's scary. The fact that there's even rumors that he's not ready yet has you a little concerned, just because of the timing. When it goes preseason, you expect people to be back, and anytime it goes over the timeline, I just start thinking about guys like Marquise Lee and these other guys that had more going on, nerve damage and things like that.
But the J.K. Dobbins point that he's making, he's like, no one knows what the hell they're talking about. They're just making stuff up, maybe, So like, I don't know. I have heard a couple different sources come out about J.K. Dobbins' injury specifically, which is a little scary. It is.
Yeah, in the beginning of the offseason, I mentioned that I think that we should pull back on J.K. Dobbins. I was out there preaching hesitation on J.K. Dobbins. I felt like the Ravens are most likely going to go committee. When those rumors of Devonta Freeman were coming out that they were going to sign him, just as a reaction to what happened last year. Not Freeman.
Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. Yeah, thank you. It was Melvin Gordon.
I was like, I don't think Devonta Freeman's going to be crap this year, but
yeah, no, not Devonta Freeman. My apologies. But since then, I've noticed, I was just thinking about this last week, how J.K. Dobbins' ADP has fallen a lot since then. And so I'm almost back in on J.K. Dobbins at his price here.
Yeah, I mean, 4th, 5th round, I think that's where he's been going probably this whole time. If people were taking him in the 3rd, that was pretty high. But he's never going to get all the workload. I don't think anyone necessarily expected that. I just think it's the efficiency that he could have in this Baltimore Ravens offense and what we've seen in the past, mixed in with touchdown efficiency. Insane efficiency. And it's not just from JK we've seen it from other running backs as well. So I don't know. I think this is completely fair value for him. This is where he should be going.
And when you look at like the stats that people love when they talk about the pure runners, you know what I mean? Like the breakaway run rate and the broken tackles, like his breakaway run rate is pretty much up there with Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. Like as far as the pure running goes, that's never been a problem. The concern is that, but he's going to be a guy that does a lot in between the 20s, and then Lamar Jackson, or Gus Edwards is the one to punch it in, because Gus Edwards is a big fella and his career yards per carry is like 5.2 yards or something.
It's one of the highest since he's been in the league. I think it's like 9th highest. I looked it up pretty recently.
I looked up everyone that's had at least 400 carries, and it was third.
Yeah,
I looked it up.
Okay, gotcha. I think I was looking since he'd been in the league. So maybe there was a bunch of other lesser carries people mixed in there. I will say J.K. Dobbins, I think he had 9 touchdowns. I guess I could look it up pretty easily. I think he had 9 touchdowns that one year that he broke out 2 years. Yep, 9 rushing touchdowns, no receiving touchdowns. But that's a lot for the limited work he got. And if he was anything close to double J carries this year.
Oh, I like that pick, Coop.
Yeah, I like that pick too. But
be nice to me. I'm the guest.
No,
never.
You've been here enough times that we're allowed to be.
I'm angry about that.
No. The rules are that when I'm an emergency co-host, you're allowed to be mean to me, and when I'm the guest, you have to be nice to me. The schedule guest, you can be mean to me when I'm in the chat. You can be mean to me when I'm a emergency co-host, but when I'm the guest, when I am the guest, you can definitely be mean to me on Reddit.
That's just normal.
Did you see the comment I made my banner pick on Twitter?
Yeah. What was it? You are a garbage snake.
Oh, you're snake oil.
Snake. You are a snake oil garbage salesman. That's a favorite. That's my favorite comment I've ever got on Reddit.
I hate that Dalton Schultz got picked right there.
Dalton Schultz, my twin.
Scott wanted to know, what do you guys think of Dalton Schultz this year?
Good question.
Oops, sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good.
Get off the show.
Josh is on the clock, so we'll jump to you, Coop. What are you thinking about Dalton Schultz this year?
So the thing for Dalton Schultz to me is that I love his opportunity. Him as a player, I'm a little concerned about, just because he only had 14 catches versus man-to-man on like 108 targets. He had more catches that Pro Football Focus considered uncovered than he did versus man-to-man. So this is a guy who a lot of times, people talk about how it's better for him that there's less targets there, but it seemed like a lot of the time he was benefiting from being an ancillary piece, kind of like Robert Tonyan did the year he had 11 touchdowns. My concern is that once he becomes a focal point, he doesn't really have the athleticism and, what you really want to see from guys to be able to generate themselves. That said, given the opportunity he has, it's hard to believe that he's not going to have an awesome floor. So Schultz is a guy where if I take him, I'm taking a second tight end later with more upside, but I'm starting Schultz right away, especially while Gallup's out.
I love that.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Just real fast, Robert Tonyan, he had no targets that year he broke out. It was solely on touchdowns. Schultz did it on targets and receptions. So that's why I think he is safe. So I like that you said safe there.
Yeah. It's what I'm doing. One of my main, for anyone out there that just wants a quick blurb of my main strategy for your normal 10 to 12 team leagues where you start one tight end. Here's what I'm doing. I'm waiting. Unless I get Kyle Pitts at the right ADP in the 3rd round somewhere, maybe I'll take Pitts. But usually I'm waiting and I take someone like Hawkinson, Ertz, or Schultz, especially Ertz and Schultz, where you can confidently start them while Gallup's out and while DeAndre Hopkins is out. and then I'm using a late pick or a bench spot on just a crazy upside play that might have low floor, but there is a path to targets, right? So I'll pair like Ertz with Cole Kmet, or I'll pair Ertz with Evan Ingram. And you can start Ertz for 6 weeks while Hopkins is out, while you're trying to catch lightning in a bottle with the other spot. That's my play. That's my play as of right now. And you can kind of use the information, and use your own projections. So anybody you think could be a top 2 target on their team, that's who you want to take stabs on late, whether it's David Njoku or Austin Hooper. Like, just start thinking about what your projections are and say, I want this guy because he could lead the team in targets or at least be second, because that's the biggest thing for tight end upside.
I love that. And Josh took Zach Ertz, which is one of the main guys you mentioned here in your main strategy. Is this around the time that you're looking at Ertz, right around the time Schultz and Hockenson are gone? Are you then looking to try and target Ertz, or are you going to try and wait later to see if he'll fall?
Well, Josh threw me for a loop here, because the key, what I do is I look for key indicators, right? I in my mind, I do the drafts, I do a ton of underdogs, I do a ton of these, and I realize, like, okay, this dude is never going before this dude, right? Like, we can consistently say that, TJ Hawkinson's never going before it's Kittle and Waller. So if you want Hawkinson, just sit there and say to yourself, okay, as soon as Kittle and Waller go, prepare yourself to take Hawkinson. Usually what I do is I wait for Schultz and Goddard to go and I take Ertz. But in this case, Ertz was taken before Goddard. So now you got to kind of readjust and think to yourself, okay, where are the indicators for me? It's such a linear position that you can kind of treat it that way and say, okay, now that this guy's gone, I need to start preparing to take this other guy, unless Mike Daddy's Home FF is in your draft and he's willing to ruin his draft. He's willing to pull the temple down on both our heads. Yeah, just so he can send memes at me on Twitter.
It's such a Mike thing to do, though.
Yeah. You might have people in your league that do that, though, so you got to know that's going on. Yeah. But for me, like, now that I've seen Ertz go before Goddard, which I am fully on board with that, I'm going to start thinking, okay, now when Schultz is gone, I need to start preparing to take Ertz, right? That's the way I think about it with certain positions, right? Like, especially if you really like a guy, you can do that. You can say, okay, I really want this guy. I'm not taking anyone before him. So as soon as certain guys go, that's where I gear up. And it's never too soon to really get your guy if you're worried that someone else is going to take him.
Yeah, I love that. It's great advice. Great advice.
Especially when I'm on the turn here. I knew Ertz wasn't going to make it back to me. I expected a couple tight ends, and as we're seeing that, there's a few going already. And Ertz is my next guy there. I have him separated, actually, even from Dallas Goedert a bit. He's almost like, I'd rather have Schultz, but Ertz is closer to Schultz than he is for Dallas Goedert for me, personally.
Right. Like, I mean, the Lord came down from the heavens and moved Zach Ertz away from Dallas Goedert last year and bailed you out completely. And he was still just okay. Yeah. And he scored the 2 touchdowns when Gardner Minshew was a QB, targets. Right?
And now AJ Brown's there to take away.
Now AJ Brown's there, right? And they were the bottom 4 team in passing. It just, it has me a little concerned. But again, in tight end premium, it brings some of these guys back into play for me, like the Goddards and the Knoxes and the Gesicki's, because now you look at it and say, okay, like, before, I would say I'd rather have Tyler Boyd than Mike Gesicki. But now that Gesicki's receptions are worth 1.5 versus 1, it evens that playing field a bit.
Right. Gives them a little boost.
Right.
Oh, Simon, you're on the clock. I had a question for you. Oh, now you're not on the clock. Treylon Burks. I like that.
Real fast, Ertz has been a top 6 tight end 5 of the last 6 years as well.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, number 3 targets last year. Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Yeah.
Amongst tight ends. Tons of opportunity.
That kind of stuff makes me like, Carson, Logan Thomas as a late dart throw with Carson Wentz, who he had multiple, he was always a top 5 tight end with Carson Wentz. And also, I hate to bring him up again, but the coach during that period, his name was Doug Peterson. Do you guys know where he's coaching?
Who's that? Who's that?
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
I think who's the tight end?
The Ingram season, baby.
Dan Arnold.
Dude, mute him. Remove him. Get him out of my sight.
NBA Ray got Simon. If you had to put money in, would you place it on the Orioles or Mariners this season to make playoffs? These are my 2 teams.
Well, I sure watch a lot of baseball all the time. Like every day there's baseball on the TV. Just like whenever I'm awake, I'm watching baseball. So this will be a really well thought out opinion here, and not solely dependent on the FanDuel Sportsbook odds to win the World Series. So I'm gonna have to go with the Seattle Mariners. The Seattle Mariners are at plus 3,500 odds to win the World Series. The Orioles are at plus 30,000. Full transparency, I don't watch baseball, but with like almost 10x the odds to win the World Series, I'm assuming the Orioles aren't very good this year.
Go with the Orioles. They're better than expected. They're on a streak.
They've been on a huge win streak.
Yeah,
I think they won
10 wins in the last
12 or something.
Yeah.
They did have 10 wins in a row. I think they lost the game.
Yeah, Maria and I went to the 4th of July game. It was pretty fun.
Nice.
Pretty fun.
And that's like your favorite place over there.
Camden Yards. Yeah. I've been to both of these stadiums, the Mariners, because I used to live right next to the Mariners Stadium. Camden Yards blows it out of the water. Sorry to say. But the Mariners Stadium does have the retractable roof, which is pretty nice when it rains.
Dude, I got a little Camden Yards story for you, JL.
Ooh.
So watch out.
We drove down there and we get down there early and we're in the front row. And my buddy's like a big collector. So I got a baseball of his trying to get autographed, right? And they're playing the Washington Nationals, dude. Mm-hmm. And Nick Johnson, he was the first baseman at the time, comes over and he points at me, right? And I go to underhand my ball. And at the same time, a young kid next to me, the kind of kid that only throws one speed, which is just like... Right. Yeah. He thinks that Nick Johnson's pointing at him, which definitely wasn't true because he was pointing at me. Well, I threw my ball up like this, and this kid throws a laser beam that hits Nick Johnson right in his mouth. Right. Dude, he picks up both balls, right? Signs them, brings them over. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. The kid's like, I'm so sorry. He goes, don't worry about it. And it's just all blood all over his teeth.
Oh my God.
That's what a story. That is, I did not expect a story of that caliber whenever you said I got a story.
Thought we were gonna high low that me and some little 11-year-old kid were gonna high low Nick Johnson with a laser beam right in the face.
Right in the teeth.
Yeah. Dude, and then later in that game, it was kind of a blowout. So they put in now I forget who it was Willie Harris. They put in Willie Harris, the Nationals did. He comes out to the stanky leg and then proceeds to hit a home run that was legit off the warehouse, like Ken Griffey Jr. home run derby. Like I was like, dude,
that's a decent hit if he hit the warehouse.
The stanky leg, bro.
The stanky leg. Did he do it too, or was it just
Oh yeah. He comes out, he's doing the stanky leg in the batter's box. Yeah.
Where'd all the wide receivers go, guys?
I was wondering the same thing. That's why I took two right there.
A lot of wide receivers gone. A lot of wide. Coop, you went Cole Kmet, and Cole Kmet I think is one of the more interesting later round tight end prospects for me this year. He's someone who I think can really take a step up. How are you feeling about Cole Kmet this upcoming season? Do you think he can break out?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm looking for guys that can be pretty much a locked in top 2 target on their team if possible. Like think about Mike Gesicki. We don't really like Tua in terms of volume, right? Even if you like him as a quarterback, do you think that he can throw enough passes to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Kmet to get it done? I mean, that has to be highly consolidated. Not to mention, they said they're going to bring in
Gesicki,
Sorry, Mike Gesicki. So it's like those guys scare me.
He's throwing to Kmet all the way up in Chicago.
Yeah, you have a cannon, bro. So I got to make a pick.
Yeah, make your pick.
Yeah, right.
Do it.
Whatever.
Boom.
I feel like that Dan Arnold pick was a shot at you almost.
Definitely, which is hilarious. Here's real quick Dan Arnold take that you guys can clip if this one comes around. But I expect Dan Arnold, or I think he's one of the best trade candidates out there right now, specifically because when you look at, for instance, N'Keal Harry, if N'Keal Harry was released, it would have cost the Patriots an extra $750,000 versus trading him, right? If you look at Dan Arnold's contract, he's getting paid $2.5 million. If they were to release him, they'd be on the hook for all $2.5 million. If they trade him, even for a 7th round pick or anything, then $1.5 million of his contract goes with the trade, or $1 million goes with it. So they literally save $1 million by giving him up to somebody for nothing. So that's what makes him, for me, a pretty reasonable trade candidate. I mean, they just paid Evan Ingram $9 million guaranteed. So it's the writing's on the wall as to who the starter is going to be. And if they can save a little money and move Arnold, I feel like that's a reasonable possibility.
Yeah, that's a really good analysis. And it's a good point because Dan Arnold was brought in by the previous administration there, previous coaching staff.
Yeah.
And Scott said Arnold before Komet. Yeah, I think
definitely
the
a shot.
Arnold pick was more. Of
I
a
think
shot.
that was Scampers being a little scamp.
Yeah.
Some of these picks
scamper.
in here, I'm looking at. I see Corbin and Vasher going. I just want to say, I'm not questioning whether you like those guys. Maybe you love those guys. Maybe those are like deep sleepers for you this year. But you are shooting yourself in the foot by taking them this early. There's no need. No one's drafting Corbin. You don't need to take him in the 7th round. You can take him in the 15th round with your last pick. So if that's a guy that you're high on that no one else is talking about, no problem with you taking him, Jones Karen. But you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage when you take Corbin and Vashner there instead of other players on the board and taking those guys later. Maybe you're just messing around, but just wanted to say, because a lot of the picks in there are good picks from that team. You know what I mean? So just wanted to comment on those two.
I love Rashad Bateman. I was a little salty that he went there.
Yes, I love the Bateman pick. I feel like I'm scooping him up in every draft I'm doing. NBA asks, Coop, which SFB division are you in? And if I'm not mistaken, you were in the live Boston one. Is that correct, Coop?
Yes. So I was saying I'm in SFB. I'm in Boston Live 3. Oh, sorry. SFB 1228 Live 2 is how it's being categorized.
Yes, that
so
one.
Pretty simple to find. Which is the MFL Boston Live Draft. Dude, a lot of good folks in that one. And it was just amazing. Bob Gilchrist and Mike, Daddy's Home there, were drafting off the top of their heads, just like walking around, and they both drafted really good teams, which is, it just speaks to the level those guys are at, I mean, I was drafting off a sheet of paper too, but it was a blast, man. I'm definitely, if they're doing live drafts every year, I'm going every year because that's a lot of fun.
Oh, I can't wait. Hopefully next year I can try that out. Sounds very fun. There was
no
drafts.
Get me excited.
They do. They're so fun. I tried to petition Scott to do a Baltimore one, but wasn't interested.
Coop, can I ask you your advice right here on this pick? And you can tell me to fuck off if that's the player you want with your next pick. Just say it. Then someone in between will take him, though. How do you feel about Mike Gesicki this year? Because in my mind, he's one of those just like very boring, no upside kind of players. But we're expecting a better offense there. I'm debating taking him here and grabbing a guy late, like you said, but almost seems like a wasted pick.
In tight end premium, I would consider it. But for me, most of the wide receiver 2s need to go before like some teams wide receivers 2 need to go. You know what I mean? Like just because, like a guy like Christian Kirk, for instance, because
I'm just upset I got
the problem. it's just you can't project him. Like if you project a guy to be 3rd on his team in targets, you're betting against yourself by picking that tight end. And I know this is tight end premium, which you get a little bit of a boost there, but like nobody is coming to me and saying, I actually think that Gesicki will get more targets than Waddle or Tyreek Hill. And when you look at the numbers, right, and you look at how essentially every tight end going back to Randy McMichael in 2003 has gotten either 90 plus targets or 10 plus touchdowns. And, it's incredibly rare for a guy to get the 10 plus touchdowns. No tight end had 10 touchdowns last year, right? So you basically have to put him ahead. That's why I'm not taking some of those guys like Goddard or Gesicki where I know it's kind of locked in. There's a guy on the board right now that's coming up that I do like taking a lot, and we'll see if he goes before I pick. And it's not Evan Ingram.
And I was
that's a spicy one right there.
When I was sitting there,
a name
I felt a little bit on the ledge for tight ends. I was sitting there and I was like, I hit a point where I don't have one, and you feel like you have to, but you don't have to. You can keep waiting. You can keep waiting.
Exactly, because we find them, man. I mean, I did the tweet the other day where I just, the last 2 years, a tight end has come from outside the top 30 tight ends being drafted to be a top 3 tight end in fantasy football. Last year, Dalton Schultz was not being, because of the Blake Jarwin situation, he was not being drafted high. The year before that, Logan Thomas came out of nowhere. And if you look at going back 5 years, we've got guys that finished top 5 that were all being drafted outside the top 17. Evan Ingram in 2017, Eric Ebron the year after that scored 13 touchdowns with Andrew Luck. The in between there, it was Darren Waller and Mark Andrews is being drafted. So like we can find these guys. That's our job. And the goal is, that's why we draft 2 sometimes, because with certain positions, people say like, oh, you can never draft 2. You can never draft 2 quarterbacks. You're an idiot. Well, you know what happened in one of my leagues a couple years ago? One of my buddies, who's an idiot, waited on the quarterback and he took 2. And one of the quarterbacks he took was the quarterback 15. And that was Patrick Mahomes, and he threw 50 touchdown passes. And the guy that picked him kicked all our asses because he drafted a full team of running backs and wide receivers and tight ends. And then he just used a bench spot on a quarterback, and the dude threw 50 touchdown passes. It's like sometimes that's like anybody that played in the league with me, when Mark Andrews broke out, they weren't getting Mark Andrews because I was drafting 2 tight ends, right? So you got to draft 2 sometimes to give yourself a shot at that upside. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I like that strategy. It's certainly the strategy I'm taking in Scott Fishbowl. I had to just punt, so I added in like Irv, Freiermuth, just a couple of these guys who I think could pop off.
I'm with you, JL. We got 3 guys. One I think you don't like so much, Coop and Robert Tonyan, but the other 2, Gerald Everett and Evan Ingram. With Tonyan as that 3rd guy is the squad I'm rolling with and probably done with on Scott Fishbowl with only 2 picks left. Maybe a Greg Dulcich slate. I know that's not a high upside pick, but I just love him. I would just moral support on the team.
There we go, dude. Scott's been reading the articles. Scott Kobe just. We knew it was gonna.
There we go.
We knew it was gonna happen, dude. We knew it was gonna happen. All right, so I'm just gonna reach and do this right now.
There we go.
Because I'm a big fan of the upside, man. It's like you in your normal leagues, you don't have to do that, but when I'm playing with people that know me, I have to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or else,
with Henry Coop, is it like he seems like one of the guys most likely to, like, you talked about that 10 touchdown upside, like of tight ends. He was one of the closest last year. I think he had 9, right? And he's in a position to maybe get close to that. Is it just that, or do you think his volume is going to be up there in that 90 target range, like you were talking about?
Yeah, so I think it's entirely possible for him to once again, because he was the 2nd target on the team last year, 2nd most targets, and it was his 1st year with the team with a rookie quarterback, right? So it's entirely possible. But when it comes to scoring touchdowns, we've kind of, it's so tough to predict, right? It's the touchdowns are fluky, but we've kind of proven that the guys that do best versus man-to-man coverage, that can make contested catches and beat their guys in man-to-man, do have an advantage in that. We've seen Mark Andrews do it consistently. Hunter Henry is one of the best in the league at doing that. Dawson Knox actually also graded out very well versus man-to-man, because if you think about the way football works, when you get down close to the end zone, they go 0 coverage, right? So it's just man-to-man, bingo, bango. So if you move your tight end out to wide receiver in the slot or out wide, and they put a real corner on him, he can either win that or he can't win that. And there's a number of guys that can't. Hunter Henry is a guy that can. So he gets that boost from me. And, like I said, he has a chance to be the top 2 target on that team.
Yep. I like it. I get nervous just because I don't know how much faith I have in that Patriots offense, but Hunter Henry's volume was safe last year, and it's not going to be worse offense than it was last year. They put it together that way.
I want to ask you guys a question. Because I've tried to do some math on this, and it's been inconclusive. Now, when you look at a tight end premium league, and it's half PPR where the tight end gets a full point versus full PPR where the tight end gets 1.5, do you treat it differently, or do you kind of treat things the same way with those two?
If we just think about the math a little bit, it sounds like the tight ends would be even more valuable if it's a half point and they're getting an additional point, because it's just even more value that they're providing. So it's not going to make Travis Kelce be my 101 or anything. But does it feel like he has to be around that range? Yeah. It feels like he has to be kind of a mid-round pick. It boosts him up a little bit more, I would say.
I don't think it affects the rankings of the players in those positions, because really it scales, right? Like where we're going to take somebody is relative to the players around them. And so if the wide receiver is getting 1 point per reception and your tight end's getting a half point more, regardless of what the base scale is, it's mostly the same. But how you put that up against maybe like a position like quarterback, that might change slightly.
Yeah, we got an interesting question in the chat there from Twin. Fant or Albert O?
From Coop, yeah, Fant or Albert O? What do you think?
That's a tough one. I think
Coop out of these 3.
Yeah, I got Coop first. I think I would take Albert O. And at the end of the day, it boils down to quarterback play. I'm intrigued by the comments coming out of Drew Lock, where he's like, the Broncos didn't know how to use Noah Fant. But at the end of the day, both guys are in the same position, right? They're the 3rd target on their team behind 2 good wide receivers. So I'm just going to lean into the guy that has a better chance to score more touchdowns. You know what I mean? Russell Wilson. Offense. Yeah. It's like the problem with Albert O is that we know he's going to catch touchdowns, but it's just so hard to predict when he's going to catch them,
Yeah,
but that's rough, man.
Simon with the double tight end at the end, and Njoku and Hooper.
Honestly, if this was a real draft, I probably would have waited 3 more rounds and then grabbed the same 2 guys. But since we're only doing 12 rounds here for the purposes of illustrating that strategy, I went with those 2 guys at the end down there.
Perfect, bro.
Like
and I'm gonna hopefully nobody's watching this from my Scott Fishbowl league, but that's Njoku already went, but I grabbed Komet and I'm gonna grab Hooper. And
Mike, you hear that? I'm just kidding.
That's the thing about the Scott Fishbowl is like, last year because it's also first downs, extra points for first downs for tight ends, they're much more valuable than you think. I mean, like Tyler Higbee was scoring points last year on par with like Terry McLaurin. And Tyler Higbee's not even good. So, so it's like, I know I'm going to fill my bench with random tight end stabs. Like I already know I'm going to do it. So
you got any like super deep sleepers, like a Greg Dulcich, a Ricky Seals Jones, like
Maria's dad was giving me
a
Giants rookie sleeper tight end.
Daniel Bellinger, man.
Bellinger, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Bellinger, he could win that
Hawaii trip. He was trying to get me to draft Bellinger.
I mean, I got tight ends that go as deep as you want to go, brother. Like I got some, I got some that have never made a roster yet that I still like.
Jordan Leggett.
I have one out there. He actually, this player actually liked this tweet. I tweeted out that if Eli Wolf makes the Packers 53-man roster, I'll shotgun a tall boy Strawberita. And Eli Wolf came in and liked it, so he's ready. He's ready to compete. Baby.
Now he's motivated.
Yeah, but
tall boy Strawberita, that's gonna raise your blood sugar like through the roof. Yeah.
My face will be looking like a tomato within a minute of taking that thing down. But hey, if he makes the squad, because like that's the exact kind of guy I look for, just like converted wide receivers, super athletic. That's what I'm looking for. So Eli Wolf is about as deep as they go, but in terms of redraft guys, I'm actually willing to draft. I do like whoever gets the job out of Bellinger or Ricky Seals-Jones. I like whoever ends up with the job in Tampa Bay, whether it's Cameron Brate or whoever. I also like taking a stab if it's really late on Kylan Granson from the Colts. They talked about how important it is to replace the blocking of Jack Doyle, and Mo Alley Cox last year actually blocked more than Jack Doyle did. So, when I look at that situation, there's a possibility that Mo Alley Cox ends up playing more of a blocking role, and Kylan Granson or the rookie Jelani Woods can carve out a pass catching role. In which case, you have a situation where it's like a Goddard Ertz, where one guy ends up playing in the slot, right? Same thing happened with like Jonnu and Dan Arnold. Was that like Jonnu and Anthony Ferkser, was that Jonnu was just a better blocker, which put Ferkser in a role to have some games where he's pretty good. So, those are some deep guys I kind of like, but again, super dart throws.
Throws. And I love that comment from Scott saying you're scouting high school basketball players who might become tight ends at this point. Guys,
a quick question before we go on, because I wanted to hit this. I did put it up. Thoughts on Hurts going first? Do you think he has that value this year? In a 1 QB league, that's too early for me for Hurts, in my opinion.
It's too early for any quarterback.
Too early for any quarterback. I wouldn't take Hurts first overall in redraft, but I think I think it's okay if you have him top 5.
Yeah, you kind of touched on this earlier, Simon, but my rule of thumb is don't do it if you don't have to.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to take Jalen Hurts before Josh Allen. You know what I mean?
Look at the quarterbacks still there. Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins.
All of them.
Just those two in themselves, I feel very good about them going into next season. So there's
I forgot to draft a quarterback. That's okay. I'll just get one off the waiver wire.
You don't need one of those.
No, you don't need one. I think there's plenty of quarterbacks probably still
Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. You're good, man.
Yeah, you're right. I'll just first waiver wire runner. I'll grab Tua and call it a day. We'll be good to go. Guys, that is going to be it for us this afternoon. Coop, I want to thank you so much for coming on and drafting with us today, my man. It's always a treat.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I got a shout out to the Grimace Gang and also my editor. He watches these sometimes, and he noted I think I mentioned it last time that I said Grimace like 8 times, and I never mentioned Fantasy Alarm once. So, follow me on Twitter. I tweet out all my articles, but if you want those, I do articles, videos, all that on Fantasy Alarm, and you'll notice that in my videos, you might start seeing a few more Hawaiian shirts, man. I'm kind of feeling the vibe.
I was 100% certain that sentence was going to end. That being said, Grimace Gang for life, and then you just cut out of here, like just fun, like
Grimace Gang, Fantasy Alarm can eat it, baby. Woo!
On that note, guys, that's going to be it for us this afternoon. If you're not already following our friend Coop, go and follow him right now on Twitter at Coop A Fiasco. Then hit the like button on this video and make sure you're subbed to Front Yard Fantasy. We are here every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And that includes tomorrow, where we're going to be back playing some more fantasy football games. So make sure you're back here tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, we're out of here. Adios, everybody.
Trading makes fantasy fun. I said it before Scott got it. You got it up there. You know, I win.
He mixed it up anyway.
Josh wins.